Do you remember when it first died? September, love was changing the minds, but tonight, while chasing the clouds away.
Stop me. Take it, baby. Let's go. Nothing to stop me. Another loser.
お前はもう死んでいる。何？大は匠でギゼブ。
Hey, what is up, Commanders, and welcome back! I'm Along Chemist Spider, and this is Just the Basics, a series where we explore the fundamentals of a mod known as Mental Omega. In this episode, we're going to be looking at the tech trees for each of the 4 sides, and the most optimal way to properly build up to the highest tier. Of course, this is without being flat broke or going to low power mode. Some of the terminologies used in this video are as followed. Tiers are the level of technology required to build certain units. There are 3 tiers in the game. When I say tech, I mean technology. When I say labs, I mean tier 3 technology buildings. Teching means the process of building and placing technology buildings in order to obtain a higher tier. When I say sub-faction, I'm referring to the 12 factions available under the 4 distinct signs. With that out of the way, let's jump back into the basics. You might have noticed already, but each faction in Mental Omega has their own sort of technology no other factions can deploy. Foen was their wind tech and plasma weaponry. Epsilon was their stealth tech and mutations. Soviets was their Tesla tech and radiation weapons. And finally, the Allies with their chronotech and prism weapons. However, you also might have noticed that many of the basic units, such as knife frames and Draco tanks, don't really have anything that screams, "That's Foen tech." Well, it is because most of the better and faction-specific units are locked behind a set of technology requirements. To clear those requirements, commanders must build certain tech structures on the field. Each side has their own sort of tech buildings. Thus, the teching process are very different for each side. So, before we go any further, I need to emphasize how important tech is to winning a game. In Vanilla Thriller 2, games are easily won without the highest tech tier, often with dozens of tanks. In Mental Omega, however, higher tech buildings are more powerful and more cost efficient than their lower tech counterparts. More often than not, there is a need to build 3 or 4 tech structures to access better and better units in order to win. Heroes are also unlocked at tier 3, and a player with a hero unit can often turn the tide against a larger, lower tech army. This teching process does vary between each faction, and might get a little hectic to learn all of it at once. But fear not, for I am here to break it all down. Let's start off with the Soviets, as their technology tree is the most straightforward. Like all other factions, they need a power plant and refinery before accessing any of their tech buildings. The first Soviet tech building is the Field Barrel, a little small structure that gives the Soviet Union their tier 2 units, the ability to build the MCV, and access to the nuclear reactor. It also unlocks the tier 3 structures that are often fondly referred to as labs. Depending on the sub-faction chosen, a commander would either build the Palace, the Battle Lab, or the Atom Heart. The straightforward tech requirements of the Soviet Union means a commander could easily do something called a tech rush, by skipping buildings like the airbase and the very important second refinery in order to get access to tier 3 immediately. That plan might sound great in theory, however, that means going on low power or running out of credits. Low power means everything produces at a painfully slow 50% rate. And remember, credits do everything in this game. No credits equals no units equals no victory. So the optimal build order for the Soviets is as follows. Start with the barracks, then place a Tesla reactor, refinery after the reactor. Follow the refinery up with a war factory. A second refinery is crucial and should be immediately queued up after the war factory. Now, follow the second refinery with 2 more Tesla reactors in order to support a fuel barrel. After the fuel barrel, build a nuclear reactor to solve the Soviet energy crisis. then top the build off with a lab. With this build, there is a very low chance one will become broke, and a 0% chance to go into low power mode. So I give it my 100% win ratio guarantee or your money back seal of approval. Now, on to the Epsilon Army. Vanilla Realtor 2 players might recognize these two buildings as the Psychic Radar and the Battle Lab. Well, sadly, the Psychic Radar has been demoted to a simple radar spire. The mind reading ability has been moved to a separate structure called the Mind Reader. Very creative, I know. The Radar Spire is one of the two second-tier tech buildings for the Epsilon faction. It unlocks some Tier 2 infantry, the Driller Transport, the Floating Disc, Tier 2 defenses, and the MCV. The Pandora Hub serves as the other Tier 2 building, unlocking the Adept variants and some faction-specific vehicles. To access Tier 3, one would need to build a sub-faction-specific attachment called the Hub Attachments. Beyond that, there is a pseudo 4th tier just waiting to be explored. The Cloning Vat also serves as a tech building, as well as a special economy booster for the Epsilon. It gives access to the deadly virus snipers and the DBBG bombers. A good build order for this Epsilon is as follows: Barracks, Bioreactor, Refinery, War Factory, Second Refinery, and this is where it gets interesting. A commander can fill up Epsilon bioreactors with infantry, be it the cheap spooks or the expensive adepts. So if you build a couple of spooks to fill up the reactors, two half-loaded bioreactors can sustain the radar and the Pandora Hub. To support the attachment, however, you will need two completely filled bioreactors and one unfilled reactor. For the cloning vat, simply fill the previously unfilled reactor. Commanders can also put mind-controlled infantry inside of bioreactors. However, this breaks the mind-control connection, so after selling the reactor, just watch out. At last, we are at my personal favorite side, the Allied Nations. Oh yeah. The Allies are a pain to tech up with because of one simple reason: they have a lot of power requirements. The Allied power plant is a weird one. On one hand, by itself,
hey, that's pretty good.
Boasting greater output than the Tesla reactor and an unfilled bioreactor. However, on the other hand, Soviets can build the all-powerful nuclear power plant, and Epsilon can fill their power plants with infantry. The Allies gain access to the wind turbine after building the Air Force Command, but it only gives about half of the main reactor's output as a bonus. So in the late game, Allied players will find themselves having to spend a lot of time building power plants, especially to support base defenses. The previously mentioned Air Force Command also doubles as a tech building, so Allies can have jets out sooner than the other factions, establishing easy air superiority. An Allied player will need both the tech center and the faction-specific support structure in order to make their tier 3 units. This means, if one or the other is destroyed, the Allies cannot make their most powerful units. This makes the Allies extremely reliant on their entire lineup of tech buildings. Like the Epsilon, the Allies also have a pseudo tier 4 building called the Warp Shop. Unlike the Epsilon tech, however, the Warp Shop gives an access to a variety of support abilities and only one real offensive unit, being the rarely used Chrono Legionnaires. The simplest and most effective ally build order, in my opinion, is as followed: Barracks, Power Plant, Refinery, War Factory, Second Refinery, Second Power Plant, and the Air Force Command. After you build the Air Force Command, place wind turbines on both of the previously built battle plants while building the faction-specific tech building. You then put down your third power plant and follow it up with a tech center. From there, a good rule of thumb is to add one power plant with the wind turbine attachment for every tech building like the Warp Shop and the Ore Purifier, and one power plant with the wind turbine, of course, for every 3 production facilities, such as the war factory and the naval yard. Last but not least, we have the Phone Revolt, who probably have the techiest of techs in the Mental Omega universe lore-wise. They got environmentally safe wind traps, they got cool exosuits that they gave to basic grunts, and the best of all, they have—
Why won't you die? Nanomachines, son. They harden in response to physical trauma. You can't hurt me, Jack. What did I just say?
Phone factions have a sort of combination between the Epsilon and Allies teching process. They have 3 tech buildings: the Cyber Kernel, the Cloud Piercer, and the Nanofiber Loom, and their respective expansions. Each tech building for Fowen costs the same, but they only unlock a few units and/or abilities. However, depending on the sub-faction the commander is playing, the tech building he will build an expansion on will have a bonus unit. For example, if you're playing Highhead, the close range specialist of the Fowen, then building and placing the Cyber Kernel will also unlock the Radiator, as well as Raccoons, Grids, and the Recon Sortie support power. This unique fact makes playing each Fowen sub-faction drastically different from each other, because they're not limited to a specific tech building order like the Soviets, meaning they can build towards whatever support power or unit that is needed at the time. Usually though, players will build the tech building that will grant sub-faction's unique unit first. For this build order, it is not an exact build order, because the order of tech buildings will be varied between each sub-faction. So, I will be giving an exemplary Last Bastion build order. It is as follows: Barracks, Wind Trap, Refinery, War Factory, Second Refinery, Nanoloom, Cloud Piercer, Cyber Kernel, Second Wind Trap, and finally the expansion. The Wind Trap is such a powerful reactor that it can sustain the entire process up to tier 3 with only 2. It is an incredible tool for Fowen, but it is also more expensive than any of the other factions' reactors, with the exception of the nuclear reactor. Congratulations! You've just learned how to proficiently tech up to tier 3 for each and every faction. Before we go further on, I'd like to point out that every tech building is extremely fragile and should be protected with great care, or else this might happen.
Deja vu, I've just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to go. Going new, and the search is a mystery. Standing on my feet, so hard when I try to be me. Whoa, deja vu, I've just been in this time before. Higher on the beat, and I know it's a place to go. Going new, and the search is a mystery. Standing on my feet, so hard when I try to be me. Yeah.
You're not supposed to kill the devil truck so fast!
Deja vu, I've just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to go. Going new, and the search is a mystery. Standing on my feet, so hard when I try to be me. Whoa, deja vu, I've just been in this time before. Higher on the
Okay, we don't even need to nuke!
oh man, mystery. Standing on my feet, so hard when I try to be me. Yeah.
Wait, there's one last one! There's one last building there! It's the Talisman. No more crossbar. Alright, that was pretty fun. I'm not gonna, that was pretty awesome. And that is all for today's Just the Basics episode. I hope you had a wonderful time here, because I sure as hell did. Man, these friggin' edits weren't easy, but holy hell am I happy with the result. This is probably one of, if not the most edited video I've ever done. And I feel like I'm saying that for every video that I put out now. Which is good. It means I'm improving. And I hope you're enjoying this as we go on, because one, it's gotten more memey, and jokes are always fun. And two, it's actually gotten semi more educational, which is, I want to grab someone's new's attention and bring them into this game. It's actually really fun. There will not be Tesla Cruisers build order in this video because of two things. One, time restraint. Two, it's just because I want to make it its own video. I don't want to put it at the end where probably almost 75% of the viewer population will not see. So, in the next episode, I am going to be going over one of Tesla Cruiser's builds, which is basically a tier 2 Barella Rush, and going over thought processes. But this is done, the footage will be done by a fairly intermediate player. So, it will be a good representation of what noobs can do on the battlefield. After this little section, I will put on some bloopers, as promised. They will be loud, they will be obnoxious, but it will just be pure comedic gold. And as always, at the end of the video, have a great day!
Hey, what's up, Commanders and Grunts, and welcome back! Along Came a Spider, and this is Just the Basics, a series where we explore the fundamentals of a mod known as Mental Omega. In this episode, we're going to be looking at tech trees for each faction and the most optimal way to properly build up your highest tier of course, but without becoming flat broke or going into low power mode. Fuck you! Stop recording.
Look at it.
Okay.
Just look.
Oh no! Ah!
Are you alright?
No!
What's this?
That's a meme.
What happened?
That's a meme. He killed the construction yard with
A wall buster.
freaking synchronauts.
Oh boy.
Oh no! This is such a meme. Can you do the target painter too? Or the hunter seeker?
The Hunter Seeker, I doubt it's gonna hit, to be honest.
What about the
try
Zephyr
something
bot?
I don't have much Zephyrs, and the Zephyrs actually suck at setup. I would have to say that.
Zephyrs.
Oh, rackety wrecked!
Oh, you think I only have that? One blow takes, sir. One.
As soon as you said that, though.
It blew up the tech maintenance, though, the same. It did blow up the tech maintenance. And yes, for the fun of the show. See what the
Oh no, that is so cool. Yo, you gotta use this in a real game now, if you ever get IS. It's so cool.
Wall Buster OP. Alright, what do I have left? I'm out of synchronous, that sucks. Missed.
The robot escapes.
Run for it!
Reinforcements are on the way.
Man, hi-hat is so good. You can almost say they're OP.
Did you just say almost? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say that.
Why the fuck don't Pterodon detect synchronauts?
Because they
What
don't
is this
detect
gun?
self. They don't detect self. Oh, we're doing a tank drop party. Here's some tank.
Pterodrones can detect disguises, but I don't think they detect cloak. You need gorillas for that.
Select target. Select target.
Everything everywhere.
I hope you're recording this as
I am.
as an end credits footage.
Select target.
Is it just like a massive wave of units just like stomping everything?
Select target.
Airdrops
Yeah.
incoming,
Select
boys!
target.
Airdrops!
Unit lost. Select target.
Ready to roll out that round.
Select target. Unit
I
lost.
have no idea what's going on.
Select target. Unit
Everything's
lost.
just a mess in there.
Select target.
How the fuck?
Unit lost.
God damn it, what's going on?
Select target. Unit lost. Select target.
Everything's a
target.
mess.
Everything's
That's
getting
true.
gas. Gas. We must gas.
Unit lost.
It's the Holocaust, but in
Select
MO.
target. Select target.
When is this freaking signal inhibitor going to wear off? What the fuck?
I don't know. Okay, it's off, it's off.
Select target. Select target.
Wait, they use my target info? No. Where is it?
Select target. Select
Oh, faster
target.
OP.
Select target. Unit lost.
This is so cool.
Select
And
target.
credits.
This is some
Wait.
serious end credit stuff.
You ever
Select target.
see your people being reviewed permanently because of the everyday?
I hope I was actually recording. If I wasn't recording, that would be really sad.
Select
That would be
target.
very, very sad.
That would be very, very sad.
Select target.
Yeah, I know.
Mortar bodies ready. I need you now, bro.
Reinforcements
It'd be
ready.
hilarious, but it'd be sad.
Select target.
I've used all my support powers, I have nothing.
Yo, we've been doing this for so long. I got the Libra clone drops again.
Nice.
Airdrops incoming!
More Libra clones.
The more, the better, right?
Yeah. If anime's taught me anything, it's the more the better.
Sisters. Commence distraction.
Unit lost. Reinforcements ready.
This area is so hotly contested that everybody is throwing
Everybody
airdrops
wants
around.
this for no reason.
Select target.
Everyone's throwing everything into it.
Reinforcements ready. Select target. Reinforcements ready. Select target.
For sure, that's Steam Blade!
Select target. Preparing.
What are we even fighting for?
I don't know.
A patch of go!
Reinforcements ready.
A patch of go!
Fighting for what everyone goes overseas to fight for.
Our base
Pussy.
is under attack.
Right.
Building.
Wait, I missed that?
Oh shit, the Raven can